Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Farhana Sheh. Kari Jamaluddin became the first recipient of Sinovac's Coronavac vaccine in the country. What do we know about the vaccine? And animal abuse on the rise. What can we do about it? That's coming up. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Kari Jamaluddin became the first recipient of Sinovac's Coronavac vaccine in Malaysia today, kick-starting its use under the National Immunisation Programme. Here is all you need to know about the vaccine.
The Beijing-based biopharmaceutical company Sinovac is behind the Coronavac, an inactivated vaccine. Coronavac has been undergoing phase 3 trials in various countries. Interim data from late-stage trials in Turkey and Indonesia showed that the vaccine was 91.25% and 65.3% effective, respectively. Researchers in Brazil initially said it was 78% effective in their clinical trials, but in January 2021 revised that figure to 50.4% after including more data in their calculations. Over 17 countries have already purchased and started their inoculation program using Sinovac's vaccine. These countries include Turkey, Indonesia, Philippines, Algeria and Ukraine. Malaysia granted conditional approval for the use of vaccines made by Sinovac on 2nd March. The first batch of the Coronavac vaccine, a 200-litre bulk equaling to 300,000 doses of vaccine, arrived in Malaysia on 27th February. Pharmaniaga is assigned to carry out the fill and finish process for the vaccine's distribution in Malaysia before later manufacturing it locally. Malaysia also received 100 doses of finished vaccine on 15 March. Another batch of 100,000 doses will be expected on March 22nd.
Private hospitals hopes to play a bigger role in assisting the government in speeding up the COVID-19 vaccination progress. Association of Private Hospital President Datuk Dr. Kuljit Singh said vaccines can be rolled out faster across the country, including rural areas, by involving more private healthcare practitioners.
Kuljit expressed his concerns over the small number of private hospitals involved in the vaccination drive. He said that some states like Malacca and Sarawak have yet to commence vaccination for their private hospital staff and doctors under Phase 1. He added that the association is in the midst of discussions with the government to cover part of the vaccination fee in a bid to reduce costs on the public. Phase 2 of Malaysia's vaccination drive is scheduled to kick off in 10 days. As of Wednesday, 367,213 have been given the first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, while over 5.8 million individuals have registered to get vaccinated.
The government's latest announcement on the 20 billion ringgit Pemerkasa stimulus is timely to help cushion the negative impact of MCO 2.0. Ideas welcome the initiatives but caution that an over-reliance on stopgap measures that will negatively impact the country's fiscal position and long-term planned recovery. We speak to Ideas CEO Tricia Yeo.
While we welcome the fact that the government has put forward this new stimulus package in the form of the Pemerkasa, we also feel that this is becoming a trend where there seems to be an over-reliance on stopgap measures to cushion the negative impact of the economic lockdown that we've been facing. So on the one hand, we recognize that the additional cash support is necessary, and in fact, I think this should have perhaps been announced even earlier, even before the MCO2 and the impact of that was starting to feel felt. What it really tells us is that we are an economy that is going to become highly dependent on immediate cash handouts in order for the SMEs and various vulnerable groups to survive.
Tricia also highlighted the need for a longer-term recovery strategy, which she hopes will be addressed in the 12th Malaysia Plan.
The long-term strategies, I think a lot of people have already talked about the whole need to reform the digitalization landscape. So while the government has talked about the importance of 4IR, the research that Ideas has done also shows that it's not being adopted fast enough. I mean, most of the SMEs in Malaysia obviously don't have the capital to do that. And even the capital that is being offered by the government, I think there's still quite like a high barrier that they will not be able to achieve. So that's one. Secondly, I think we need to have a hard look as to the role that the GLCs play in the economy. I think if we want to really move forward in terms of opening up the economy and being more competitive, we need to address the role that GLCs play. Number three, I think we also need to look at our education system. I mean, ultimately, it's all about the human resources that are available to us. The way in which our education system, both at the primary and tertiary levels, currently do not meet the demands of the industry. I think the industry and academia mismatch has gone on for far too long, and therefore we have a pretty high level of graduate unemployment in the country, while at the same time we have this gig economy. But I think a lot more structural acceptance of people who are working in the informal sector and the gig economy, like formalizing these jobs and bringing them back into the system, as well as providing the right kind of social assistance, for example, whether or not they're registered with the EPF and so on. I think that's really necessary.
We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Mampukah rangkaian anda memperkasa amanah di tangan kita? Adat, budaya dan semangat menjadi kesinambungan perpaduan tanah air yang tercipta. Berteraskan adab yang terpahat di jiwa dan raga. Marilah bersama kita membina negara Malaysia.
Bila sentuh soal berita, tiada masa untuk tunggu. Kepada anda kami bawakan fakta, susulan dan kupasan yang terkini. Tiada drama dan tiada pengulangan. Usah tunggu lama-lama. AWANI 745 lebih awal dari biasa.
Kini berwajah baru.
Ini pula susulan khas pesawat back air.
Welcome back. 2 men were arrested in Alor-Setar, Kedah recently for shooting a helpless dog to death with a bow and arrow. The incident caught on CCTV last Thursday went viral and sparked rage and conversation about animal abuse. Though many are aware of such cases, is merely being informed enough to combat this crime? What's worrying is that there has been an increase in the number of reported animal abuse and cruelty cases in Malaysia recently. Saryamia has the story.
Animal cruelty in Malaysia is on the rise. In 2020, 758 cases of animal cruelty, including negligence and abuse, were reported across the country. That's a 99% increase from 380 cases reported in 2019. As of March 2021, there were already 140 cases of animal cruelty reported. According to Department of Veterinary Services, most of the abuse and negligence cases involved dogs. What's troubling is many of these cases go unreported.
Animal cruelty is a worrying trend in Malaysia. How can we put a stop to it? We speak to Mukanan Sugumaran, founder of Malaysian Animal Welfare Association.
Why is it rising is because people are not aware of what is animal welfare all about, number one. And even if they are aware, I believe the punishment is not strong or heavy enough for them to feel afraid of. For an example, we know that if we go out without our mask, we are going to be afraid that police are going to stop us and give us a summon for 10,000 ringgit. Now, restaurant owners are very much afraid, if anyone comes in without scanning to the My Sejahtera app and without a mask, they are going to get fined about 50,000 ringgit. Now, that's because the awareness has been going around very strongly. Social media has been doing their part to bring that awareness to people so that they are actually known and well informed about the awareness of not wearing masks and not using the My Sejahtera.
He said environment, upbringing, habits, and economic factors may play a role in the psychology behind animal abuse in Malaysia.
What you can see at this point of time, the number of cases is merely 10 to 15% of the abuse cases. There's another 80 to 85% which has not been reported because they are afraid, he is my neighbor, he's going to harm me when he's out. He's going to harm me when he is back home after the investigation. They're going to start taking revenge on me. We are neighbors. We can't do this. Now, this is where I would say it is not strong enough, and the people who has witnessed this is not being covered in the scenario if they want to come upfront to report about this kind of cases.
Under the Animal Welfare Act 2015, those found guilty of abusing animals can be fined up to not less than 20,000 ringgit. Even so, it is still insufficient to instill fear among the public, Mukunan added.
Instead of giving them 10,000 fine, 25,000 ringgit fine, or 6 months jail, or 4 months jail, or 1 year jail, the jail term should be converted into time spent at animal shelter to serve the animals. All right? Now, only when the shelter operator says, yes, we are happy, this person has realized and shown a lot of compassion towards the animal, the punishment can be lifted. If not, they should still continue doing it. Now, only when they get closer, they will know how compassion is this animal towards you. How much love and care, and sometimes I'm telling you, they can be even more compassion with better than even our own human. All right, so until they can realize it, I believe they should be punished in this way.
The World Health Organization suggested for countries to continue using AstraZeneca for vaccination as the benefits of the vaccine outweighs the risks. This came after several countries temporarily suspended the use of the vaccine over fears of recipients developing blood clots.
WHO said that it is routine for countries to signal potential adverse events following mass immunization programs. This does not necessarily mean that the events are linked to vaccination itself, but it is good practice to investigate them. WHO said vaccination against COVID-19 will not reduce illness or deaths from other causes.
Countries are objecting to South Korea's rule in implementing mandatory COVID-19 testing on foreign workers. Britain formally protested the move as several countries sought an explanation. In a video posted on Twitter, Ambassador Simon Smith said he considers the measure as unfair and disproportionate. Canada's ambassador, meanwhile, retweeted the video and said several diplomatic missions were making similar representations. The capital, Seoul, and neighbouring Gyeonggi province are among a number of local governments in South Korea that have ordered all foreign workers to be tested. The fatal shooting of 6 Asian Americans in Atlanta has shed light on the rise in anti-Asian sentiment in the country. The shooter, who has been charged with murder, told police that the killings were not racially motivated. 6 of the 8 victims were women of Asian descent.
The shootings on Tuesday night took place at 3 different spas around Atlanta. Police said the 21-year-old suspect told investigators that he targeted the businesses because he blamed them for providing an outlet for his addiction to sex. 4 of the victims were confirmed to be South Korean. According to non-profit Stop AAPI Hate, crimes targeting Asian Americans have risen dramatically since the beginning of COVID-19 last year. 3,800 hate-related incidents were reported during the pandemic. 68% of the abuse was verbal harassment, while 11% was physical.
March 18 marks the 55th anniversary of DAP as a political party that was in opposition for decades at the federal level before breaking into national leadership in 2018. Is this social democratic party taking stock of its accomplishment and failures? Tonight we speak to Anthony Locke, National Organising Secretary of DAP. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news update on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Fahana Sheh. We'll see you tomorrow.